Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
Rhea Ripley had a successful outing in the squared circle at WWE Night of Champions, where she got back to winning ways after a recent setback in the Queen of the Ring tournament. Following her victory, Pearce has made a huge announcement regarding her Raw status. Mommy was in action at WWE's recently concluded Premium Live event in Saudi Arabia, where she defeated Raquel Rodriguez in a street fight. The match also saw an interference from Raquel's recent ally, Roxanne Perez. However, the former Women's World Champion was able to overcome the odds to pick up the win. Many are wondering what's next for Rhea Ripley, and it appears that we may not have to wait long to know. The Raw general manager recently announced that Mommy will be present on the Red brand this week and will be opening the show. And Mommy, Rhea Ripley opens the show, Pearce said, from 0:45 onwards. Given that her feud with Raquel Rodriguez is seemingly over, it will be interesting to see what the Eradicator's plans are for her future. She has stated in the past that she wants to reclaim the Women's World Championship, and thus, a challenge to Io Sky could be on the cards. Rhea Ripley confirmed that a rising WWE star has officially joined the Judgment Day. Find out about it here. Rhea Ripley put the WWE Women's Locker Room on notice after her win at Night of Champions. Rhea Ripley is one of the most prominent members of the WWE Women's division. She has lost just a handful of matches in the last couple of years and is always involved in notable storylines. Mommy was able to overcome the Raquel Rodriguez hurdle at Night of Champions. She appears to be ready for the next chapter as she sent a message to the entire locker room after the win. "My message to the rest of the women's locker room is watch out. I'm a 28-year-old veteran and I'm just getting started," she said. Ripley lost the Women's World Championship to Io Sky on an episode of Raw before WrestleMania 41. She was unable to reclaim the title at the Showcase of the Immortals, after which she shifted her focus to Money in the Bank and Queen of the Ring. However, Mommy looks ready to go after the title once again. The WWE Universe was buzzing before Raw even went live from a packed arena in Chicago. Rumors had been swirling all weekend, but no one could quite put their finger on what was brewing. Backstage, wrestlers whispered about a major development regarding one of the company's most dominant forces, Rhea Ripley. The air backstage felt electric. Pearce, the stoic WWE official who often finds himself the voice of order in a sea of chaos, had kept tight-lipped all day. Producers cornered him, reporters hovered, and talent prodded him for even a scrap of info, but Pearce stayed silent, his eyes scanning his phone, occasionally disappearing behind closed doors with hushed conversations and security at his side. When the red light blinked on and Raw hit the airwaves, the Chicago crowd erupted. Pyro boomed, the commentary team teased a blockbuster announcement, and Pearce walked to the ring with an expression that said this was no ordinary business. Microphone in hand, he waited as the audience chanted his name, half ironically, half out of curiosity. "Ladies and gentlemen," Pearce began, his voice steady but carrying a weight that made the front rows lean in, "I stand here tonight with news that will affect not only the women's division but the entire WWE landscape." He paused, letting the murmurs grow. For months, Rhea Ripley has dominated every challenger who's dared step up. From WrestleMania to Backlash, she has steamrolled through some of the toughest competitors this industry has ever seen. But behind the scenes, there's been another fight, a personal one. The camera cut to the Titantron, which now showed a highlight reel of Ripley's punishing matches. Her smirk. Her championship clutched tight. Her signature snarl that made even the boldest superstars hesitate. Pearce continued, "Last week, after extensive meetings with WWE medical staff, Rhea Ripley informed management of an ongoing injury that she's been battling through for months. And as much as it pains her, and trust me, if you know Rhea, you know it kills her, she has agreed to step away temporarily to recover properly." Gasps from the crowd. A few defiant no chants broke out. Some fans even booed, not out of anger toward Ripley, but at the idea of the division losing its powerhouse. Pearce raised his hand to settle them. I know. But this is Rhea Ripley. She's not stepping away forever. She's promised she'll be back, stronger and more dangerous than ever. But that leaves us with a question: what happens to the Women's World Championship?" Now the crowd roared louder. The belt was up for grabs. Pearce's demeanor shifted from somber to businesslike. "Effective immediately, the Women's World Championship is vacant. But I am not about to let it gather dust. Starting tonight, an 8-woman tournament will begin to crown the next champion, and it will culminate at SummerSlam. The arena exploded. Fans jumped to their feet, the commentary table losing its mind. Corey Graves nearly spilled his coffee on Kevin Patrick as they rattled off potential contenders. Pearce wasn't done. He held up a finger. And to make sure this is the most competitive, grueling, and fair tournament possible, next week, Rhea Ripley herself will return to Raw, not to compete, but to address the WWE Universe and personally endorse who she believes deserves to carry the torch she's built. A hush fell over the arena as the Titantron flashed the bracket graphics. Names like Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and Io Sky all lit up the big screen. The final 2 slots were marked with question marks. Pearce smirked knowingly at the camera. And those final 2 spots? They'll be surprises. I promise you, Raw is about to get brutal. Backstage, cameras cut to a shot of the women's locker room. Liv Morgan stared at the bracket with that unpredictable glimmer in her eye, her rivalry with Ripley far from forgotten. Becky leaned back, arms crossed, a sly grin on her face like she'd already written her acceptance speech. Meanwhile, the Judgment Day's locker room was eerily quiet. Dominic Mysterio sat on a bench, fidgeting with his phone. Damian Priest and Finn Balor exchanged glances, knowing the faction's iron grip on Raw was about to shift without its mommy to keep everyone in line. Social media instantly erupted. Within minutes, #ThankYouRhea and #WeRaw trended worldwide. Fans flooded WWE's official accounts with messages for Ripley, some gutted about her absence, others already speculating who the surprise entrance might be. Would a legend return to take a shot at the vacant throne? Would a new call-up from NXT make her mark? As the show carried on, the first tournament match was set, Becky Lynch vs. Zoe Stark. The 2 crossed paths backstage moments before the bell. Becky, never one to waste words, smirked at Zoe. "You ready to prove you belong, kid? Or you just gonna keep playing backup for Trish Stratus's ghost?" Zoe fired back with a shove, and just like that, the crowd knew they were about to witness a brawl worthy of the chaos Rhea had left behind. The bell rang. The bracket began to come alive. And as Pearce stood backstage watching on a monitor, he allowed himself the faintest smile. For all the headaches and late-night phone calls, moments like this were why he loved his job. He knew Raw wasn't losing a champion. It was gaining a whole new battlefield. Back home, Rhea Ripley watched from her couch, arm in a sling, scowling and yet smirking all the same. Her phone buzzed endlessly with messages from fellow superstars, fans, and even a few old rivals offering respect, and threats. She relished every second. She knew she'd be back soon enough to reclaim what was hers. And when she did, Pearce knew one thing for certain: Raw would never be ready for the return of the Nightmare.